Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make my martini, also known as the direct martini. I always say that God took 6 days to create the perfect world. It took me 5 to create a perfect martini. And before I'm going to show you how to make this unique way of making one of the most incredible martini in the world, I need to tell you the story. In 1985, I used to work at the Duke's bar at the Duke's Hotel. And I had a customer which started to be a regular of the bar called Stanton Delaplane. He was an American gentleman who he knew what he wants from his martini. And he used to come to the bar and he used to say, "May I have a very, very dry martini, but very, very cold?" And I used to say, "Of course, Mr. Delaplane." So I used to put ice in the mixing glass, gin, vermouth, and make it very, very cold, the old classic way, the way I have learned. But I used to serve it to him and he used to say, "Yes, it's cold enough, but it's not dry enough." So I used to ask for a second martini, which I used to make less cold and more dry. And again, he used to say, "Yes, it is now dry enough, but it's not cold enough." And every day, it used to be the same scenery. Every day used to say the same. I really started to have a nightmare. I used to sleep. How do I fulfill the expectation of this customer? Remember, guys, we have a duty, and the duty is whatever the customer wants, we should make it. We should really make sure that he's going to leave our bar happy. And thank God I did, because if I would have been the typical arrogant bartender, I could have told him, "Listen, this is the way I make my martini, you either like it or leave it. That is the door." But I really want to make him happy. And on the 4th day, it was Friday, I went down to the staff canteen, and it was the day which is typical here in the UK to have a fish and chips. And I noticed there was a kitchen porter who was very particular how much malt vinegar wine he wants in his chips. So he used to pick up the chips and move it from the plate and just put 1 dash of malt vinegar wine on the chips. I thought, that is clever, that is good. Now I know how to control the vermouth. So I went up, took the bitter bottle upstairs, or the dash bottle upstairs. I filled up with the vermouth, extra dry, martini extra dry. And obviously this is my bitter bottle, a little bit old, from the 1800 by the way. And then I need to resolve the problem from the freezer. The Duke's bar is a very small bar, which I had a sink, a picnic basket, which I used to fill it up with ice underneath the sink, a station which I had my glasses, and then at the end I had a little domestic fridge, which I had a little freezer inside. And there where I put my bottle of gin and 2 glasses. Remember, Mr. Delaplane always had 2 martini. On the 5th day, Mr. Delaplane came back to the bar in the afternoon, consistently, and he asked, "May I have a very, very dry martini, but very, very cold?" Of course, Mr. Delaplane. So I took the gin from the freezer, the glass from the freezer, nice and cold. So I started thinking to mix it in the mixing glass. But then I said, well, the gin is cold enough. The glass is cold. And I went straight in. Create what everybody knows today as the direct martini. Then I laid vermouth on top. Few dashes. And a beautiful twist of lemon, so the citrus. And voila! Now remember, by laying the vermouth on top, the first essence, the first thing that you encounter is the aroma of the wine, of the vermouth, which is important. Then, it's like, as you sip it, the vermouth always lays on top. So that is the secret. And then the gin obviously is cold enough all throughout the drinking period. So I'll give it to Mr. Delaplane. He sipped it, he didn't say anything. He finished the drink, he didn't say anything. He asked for the same again. And because he did not complain, I made him the same way. And then he had one sip and walked away. And I thought, my God, this guy every day told me, yes, it's dry enough, but it's not cold enough. It's cold enough, but it's not dry enough. And now he just walks away. In the evening, he came back down and brought me a fax. Yes, on those days, it was fax. You know, no emails, it was fax. And there where he introduced himself for who he was. It was an extraordinarily famous journalist who used to write for the San Francisco Chronicle, the Los Angeles Times, and the New York Times as a freelance. And there where he immortalized me by saying I was at the Duke's Bar, and there by Salvatore he makes the best martini cocktail in the planet. And my reputation grew. Everybody started to come to taste my martini, my direct martini, which today the Dukes still hold the fame and still makes the same way that I did many, many years ago. I know many of you will say, yes, but it's very powerful and strong. Well, if you want to make it softer, I've got a little tip for you. You can lay a little, in this little bottle, there is a little still water, you know, pure water. You just lay the glass with a little bit of water. That is the dilution that you want, that you usually encounter from the mixing glass, when you're doing a mixing glass. And then you can carry on. And now you have also a more softer martini. Or you can put a little still water in the glass, leave it in the freezer, make the martini, and eventually the glass, the water that you put it in the glass, it will dissolve and make again the martini softer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you one of the best martini cocktail in the planet by Mr. Stanton Delaplane. God bless his soul, and salute. Oh, it's good. And keep safe.